Do you want to see how we rigged our third highline in Iceland? Check out how to think outside the box on this episode of How Not to Highline. Hi, I'm Ryan Jinks and welcome to my gear closet. And yes, this is a puffin hat. I got this puffin hat in Iceland where we spent a week establishing 5 new lines. Check out some clips from our trip. Kids, don't try this at home unless you have crampons and a glacier and a nice axe and Robert. Hey, fun fact. The background music for our Iceland video trips is Icelandic folk music that Doddy and his wife have made. Anyways, on our way to our third highline in southern Iceland, we swung by that mossy canyon area that I can't pronounce to see if it had any highline potential.
Where are we?
Where are we?
Where are we? We're in probably one of the most beautiful tourist locations in Iceland. Fjaðrárgljúfur.
Yeah.
Say that 10 more times.
Yeah, say that.
Do that one.
Fjaðrárgljúfur.
Yeah, exactly. We'll subtitle it. And this is this is probably a Highliner's wet dream.
See, we're all wet.
Like for the rigging perv.
Damn. Just because the area makes for a great spot for highlining doesn't mean we should. Some areas are like, I'm not getting in trouble, but this area is really obvious with the signs that you shouldn't take a shovel to this very delicate formations because we'd have to really, really dig and drill to make this safe. But we would do it. But I think it would draw a little bit too much attention to the area, and I don't want to screw it up for slack.
Don't highlight this area. It's off limits.
Alright, so that's official. The access group for the area has spoken. No, you...
It's the only highlight we're doing here.
Always be clipped in when walking on wet railing.
Okay, seriously. I wanted to show these clips even though the audio and video kind of sucked because I really wanted to emphasize that we don't get to just highline anywhere that we see a great highline spot to be. So highline is not exactly a basic human right yet. So we really have to be careful when we choose our playgrounds for our highlining. This area had lots of signs about not crossing railing and don't walk down this and restoration that. So we decided to move on. Really take all that in consideration when establishing a new highline in a new area. And here's another quick shameless plug for our slackademics.com website. We're collecting more and more Slack content, we're making progress on the Bolting Bible, and you can buy cool shirts like this on slackademics.com. So we left the fjord area and decided to rig our third highline in Iceland at the Nappa area. So this is what happens when you come to a country that has fabulous weather. It's very, very wet and rainy. It's also 2 a.m. So this is where you hang out when you're not highlining. Now I don't know how to say the area very well, but Kim got lots of practice while we were waiting for the rain to pass.
You're in a good place.
Nappa Baklava. Nappa Baklava. Nappa Baklava. Nappa Blet. Give me 1 second. Nappa Baklava.
Yeah, perfect.
Nappa Baklava.
Yeah. Good.
And Sarah got to practice Doddy's real name at our Jameson Icelandic language class.
Sævarsson.
Outside of the house.
Þórður
Bara som man getur pissa á þessa
Sævarsson.
Okay, one more time.
Þór.
No.
Þór.
Nei.
Þór.
No.
Apparently there's not even enough rain, even in Iceland, for us to learn Icelandic. So in the morning we found a spot to rig an 80-meter line. We named it Gut Check, and it was really windy when we were highlining that day. So this is our backup of our backups. We wrapped that rock, and it goes to our master point, which is around the corner. So we bolted 3 bolts for our anchor, but we made them kind of high, about above head level. So we wouldn't have an abrasion issue with that rock there, because it's a really shitty rock and we couldn't bolt anywhere near it. It would be nice to build an A-frame, but it was just not the best option. This is tight enough that there's no risk. We have lots of Velcros. We're going to stop here for a second because I want to emphasize you don't want to attach to things that might fall off the cliff. It's not ideal to be rigging over something because technically if the main line failed and the backup engaged and the backup's loose, it could rub that rock. Now we did Velcro it, so it's hopefully going to be padded if that were to happen, but we wanted to be attached to that rock or at least A-frame over it, but it was not stable. So it's less risky to try to go over something than to attach to something that's probably going to fall off the cliff. So this is the tension side of this line, and we wrapped all the way around and then scorpioned our tail up, which is just a girth hitch on the back side, and then the tail. We also wrapped this rock, but we didn't make it part of our master point because it was too far off to the side, but we did back up with it. Okay, something that I don't like about this anchor is that it's a one-point wonder. Now, it is a span set and it is bomber, and it's around really great rock, but it's still a one-point wonder. You notice on both sides of our Highline, our backups are kind of off to the side or pretty far back. This isn't ideal, but it's better than nothing if something were to happen to the main anchor. And here's another great bad example for you to learn from, is where we used a soft shackle on a web lock that's not approved for soft shackles. This isn't the same web lock, but it's the same kind of design where it has two plates, and therefore you have kind of sharp edges. These web locks are not designed for soft shackles because in theory it could cut this, especially the ones that I use without padding. And I just want you to know that these are bad if I'm showing you anchors with this kind of stuff in it. Not to defend this, but I've worked with soft shackles enough to know that it would go whoosh and probably hold during a backup jolt. But that is neither scientific nor encouraged, so don't do this. As I'm sure you've gathered from most of my example videos, every Highline has some form of in the rigging process. Now this is real life situations. It's not always textbook perfect. Rarely do I ever see, if I've ever seen, a textbook perfect Highline. Highline rigging is about risk assessment when you have an either or situation. It's good to study all rigging techniques and scenarios that you can come across because you should be able to own the risk that you have to accept. And it's critical for you to know the highest risk things that you could have at a Highline, like falling off the cliff, abrasion, or attaching to something that falls off. Risk management can be a bitch. Therefore, you shouldn't Highline. Hey, don't be a dummy and go rig your first Highline after watching a guy in a puffin hat show you how to do it. But instead, invite that puffin hat man to your country where he can show you risk management personally. But until then, check out these other episodes and don't forget to subscribe.